me switch my account to like my personal one.
So you don't see anything yet?
No, not from my side at least. Oh, there we go. We're live now.
Okay. We're live? All right. We're live.
Just a small lag.
That is quite a significant lag, actually.
Yeah.
It was like 30 plus seconds.
We got 6 watching. I'm going to get Instagram pulled up. Right.
Okay.
We got 7 watching. Hey, everyone.
Hey, can you guys hear? Oh,
Yep,
where's the audio? Yeah, but I can't. Are we supposed to hear someone? No, I guess not. I haven't done YouTube live.
Yeah, no. Here, listen. Yeah, so we're good.
All right, this works.
Yep. Let me go ahead and get Instagram going.
Some fun questions coming through already.
Could a gigafactory? I love it. All right, let's go live on YouTube. Checking connection.
Okay, we're all set on my side.
All right. We're also now live on Instagram.
We're live on Instagram.
Can I steal your middle?
Yeah. Will that stick? No. It doesn't have a charge.
It does.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't have a sticker though.
Oh, no, it's not.
This is magnetic.
Okay, let me.
Do you need to? Is that with video?
Oh, we got a couple of joining. We already have some people joining. What's up, everyone? We're doing our live Q&A. That's Grant, Connor here.
So
we got YouTube live going on over there. We're really excited to answer everyone's questions.
Can everyone say hi in the chat so we can know who we're talking to and we can say hi? Hex, Dirt Saw.
We got Camilo Angel. We got Ibeck, ZTV, Elio. Nice. Tasha Blue joined. I saw Tasha's messages come in. The Wave Brother, Jack123 Bro. A lot of people joining. This is great. We got 30 people here on Instagram.
More on Instagram than on YouTube.
31? Yeah.
We have 13 here.
Nice. So what happens if I'm going to steal your phone as a back?
Yeah.
Or maybe
hold it up.
Yeah. I want to give people as much of a view. Yeah.
Bob Adams. Hey, Bob. You're here in Panama, right? That's Bob Adams' YouTube video, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Nice. Let's do
Daniel,
right
hey, we just spoke with you yesterday. Nice.
Daniel Fisher.
Yeah. And Tusky, I don't know who that is, but you're the first one on, so to say hi. So hello. It doesn't tell you who else is here, right? So I guess we don't know. They're just random, unknown people until you say hi. So
25. We got hi. You guys are the future. Congrats, guys. Oh, nice. We got some nice comments coming in on Instagram. Yeah, we can move that top one. Yeah. Nice.
Great. Okay, so we have a lot of questions, and I don't know if we'll get through them all today, but we have another Q&A tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're doing another Q&A tomorrow as well.
And then I'm going to try to add these all to a centralized, either to the FAQs on the website or on an information package we're putting together that has lots of information. And right now it's like 89 pages long, so it's a lot. It's actually not really dense information. It's spread out, so it looks, there's pictures, there's diagrams, and so it looks really nice, and it's easy to follow along. So I guess let's jump into some questions. First, I just have to read, how many pods could a gigafactory produce a year? I love that question. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. I have some interesting calls into some interesting people, so you never know what might happen. So let's see. We'll just start at the top of the top of the list with all the questions we have here.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions over the past. I mean, in general, lots of questions, and especially over the past few days, ever since we announced this this Q&A. And so we want to move through this backlog of questions that we have, anticipating that a lot of these questions will hopefully answer a lot of what you're probably wanting to ask right now. We've come to find there are a lot of commonly asked ones. So we're going to move through a lot of those, get this backlog answered. And then hopefully we'll have time at the end, maybe for some more live questions through the comments here. But like Grant already said, for whatever we don't get into tonight, we have a second session for tomorrow morning. We'll make sure we keep moving through the log to get all questions answered, move through that visual info deck in the morning as well tomorrow. And then we'll make sure that both of tonight's stream and tomorrow's stream are available to continue being watched after these live streams. So you can go back, re-listen to the questions that have been answered, or if you can't hang out the entire time tonight or you can't come tomorrow, we'll make sure you still get the footage. So I want to move through?
Yeah. Hi, Elaine. Lane Walker's on, and Leon. Hey, Leon. Is that Leon?
What's
one of our Leons?
Leon Woodhouse. Yeah, good.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's Australia morning now, or
sweet.
Midday, yeah.
Good to see you, Leon. All right. Cool. So question number one, where can pods be located on land and sea? What are the occupancy fees for securing the location? How much mobility can the Cpods have? So there's a lot of questions here. I'll go one by one. Where can pods be located on land and sea? On sea, they can be put in a lot of different places. So that's a really big question. We're really starting close to where we can support them, because we don't want to send them to the other end of the world where we can't support them and you guys have a bad user experience. We want to make sure that we really have a very curated experience for the beginning, so we can make sure everyone is just in love with Cpod land and everyone's having a good time. So we want to keep them close to our factory, which is going to be in the Panama area, of course. So you can put them on land. Land is going to be a place where we will venture out in different locations more quickly than putting them in water, because that's a lot more technically challenging to put them someplace in the water, in a place where we don't know and we haven't done a lot of surveys and testing and stuff like that. So, so on land, they can be put anywhere. You can put a normal house. And if you're in a different country, then there's going to be you're going to have to do make sure that you're allowed to legally put them there. So you have to go through some construction permits and things like that, and that has to be done almost in a country by country, county by county, city by city basis. So that has to be figured out. If you're in a different location, that has to be figured out. But we're going to work with some local landowners here in Panama. That we have some really amazing options for you guys that we're excited about. So we're just going to help get all that stuff done, so you don't have to figure it out from scratch, and then we'll be able to support you guys really well because you're going to be close to the factory. So what are the occupancy fees for securing the location? That depends. If it's a location on land, that's going to be, buying the pod is one thing, but then the land could be a different thing. There can be places that are like top of a mountain that just has incredible views, 360 degrees in all directions. That comes down to what the landowner wants to sell that plot for. And we're looking at some places. Actually, today we're shooting a video. Shot a lot of video today, actually. We're shooting a video looking at some property on a hill that overlooks the ocean, and it's like the views are amazing. And there's a couple different locations. There's an upper platform, there's a medium level platform, and then there's a hill going up, and there's space for about 20 pods there. So the occupancy, there's mosquitoes in here. So then the occupancy fees would be, you would be able to buy a plot of land there. So that would be just like buying any land. You buy the house, you buy you build the house and you have it put there, and then you get the land. And then there's also going to be like a clubhouse that's going to be built that has like tons of really cool amenities, because you're moving to someplace you'd like to have maybe a gym, restaurants, and other things. So we'll have some really cool things we'll be announcing fairly soon. I think we should be able to get a lot of this lockdown by the time we have our in-person launch. So anyone that's coming down for an in-person launch will be able to look at some property, check it out, put your feet on the ground, or look at some places where you can put Cpods as well. Let's see, then how much mobility can Cpods have? So we have our tripod model, which is what we're starting with, which goes in water from about 4 to 5 meters depth down to a maximum of about 25 meters depth, a little bit more if you wanted to. And we would anchor them down with 3 different anchors that keeps it really in position, so it's not moving around a lot. And that's that's actually much better than just having one anchor and having it move around. So it's much better to lock it down and then you're not moving at all. Now, if you want to move it to a different location, you can. You just have to either move all your anchors or maybe get new anchors, move the whole place over, and then maybe someone else would take where you had anchored. So that's
we have a couple push boats, especially for those pods that will be here in Panama. We have a couple push boats that we can offer that service to assist you in moving it locally here in the coastal waters. If you wanted to move it regionally and we have coastal access, I think it's fair to say we're acquiring some barges. And so in the near future, we hope to make it possible. So if you want to move regionally from, let's say, Puerto Lindo to Bocas del Toro, which is both on the Caribbean coast, quite a distance, but doable, we'd be able to stick it on a barge and we'd be able to transport it to that next location. So we hope to have that service, available. Moving it internationally, it's a whole different challenge. Moving a home internationally between countries would be a big challenge and obviously a heavy cost to do that. And so we would almost encourage that just not be the case to ever, put yourself in a position of having to move a home through another country. What do you think?
Yeah. So, okay, so let's see. This is just the first person that sent in questions. So there's a lot of good ones here.
Let's move on to the appliances one.
Okay. Yeah. Appliances and other tech things mentioned are not included on the order page. Are all the things you mentioned included? And if not, what is? So there's a lot. We're trying to make the pod place that is equivalent to living on land, but even better. So you'll have the same quality of life, but even better. Normal boats don't have that same quality of life because you're compromising a lot on spaces. They have low ceilings. They have very limited amount of space to move around and limited water. So we're trying to overcome all those things. And so we wanted to have a low base price so that they're available and achievable for the average person to be able to get into. And then there's a lot of upgrades. So if you want to have something totally decked out with the coolest stuff like the Ocean Builder smart rings, which unlock some cool functionality in the home, a lot of smart functionality, then there's a cost to each of these things to add them. So we're going to have a like a no frills version, like just base pod version, and then a medium package, and then a whole enchilada package with everything. So it depends on what your budget is. We can help you tailor a package to your needs. So adding something like solar does get expensive, and we're not including that in the base price because that can be anywhere from a minimum like 12,000 up to about 40,000 to have a lot of power. Now what we're finding though is that we calculated we need to run the air conditioning for about 14. We're calculating that we'd run for 14 hours a day, and that would be about 55% of the energy production of the solar panels. But now what we're finding is there's such a nice breeze up in the pod that just open the windows and you don't really need air conditioning very much. Maybe at night you might turn it on, but during the day I don't think it's necessary at all. So it depends on the person. So you can actually cut back on that solar quite a bit.
And one important thing to mention too, because we've kind of gotten this question, well, if it's not on the website, where do we find all of this upgrade pricing? It's a lot. And each, like Grant is saying, it can be so personalized. And so what we're doing right now is we're putting it into a very easily shareable, easily digestible PDF that can be shared directly with leads and with customers, with clients that are interested in starting to personalize their pod. It's just so much to put on. One day we will have the functionality on our website, similar to like Tesla. When you're ordering your Tesla online, you can see what the different rims and colors will look like. That is the functionality on our website we are working towards, and I'd say maybe we'll have that rolled out some point in 2023. But for the time being, it's just so much, and so we're compacting it into like packages, like Grant was saying, the silver, the gold, the premium, platinum tier. Can do kind of like an a la carte option, pick a couple different things. But again, it's so much, so we're condensing it into a PDF. And so we can start sharing that directly with customers who are ready to start discussing the upgrades and personalizing their pod.
Okay. Another question that was back in the compressed questions from the first person that asked, Will the Cpods need dry dock on an annual basis? That's a good question. So I wanted to go back to that one. So most boats need to be dry docked, and that's a really old rule for many, many years ago. And that's actually really bad for boats when you pull them out of the water. That's structurally bad for them. So there's changing thinking on how to do that going forward. But for boats, it's more, you normally want to take off all the barnacles and the growth that is growing on your boat so you can actually move through the water at a decent speed. Cpods are made to actually be staying in one location, and we want the growth. We want to be contributing to the local ecosystem. We want to create fish homes. We want every Cpod to have like 1,000 fish flying around, floating around them, and making that into their home. So we don't want to take them out of the water and dry dock them. We can. We have at the marina here, where we're at, we have a travel lift that will pick up the whole system out of the water, and that's not our preferred thing, but you can do that if you want, and it would not have to be every year. Normally, I think boats are more like every 5 years or so, but we do have recommended maintenance that we're going to be announcing. But basically, we want to lift the pod up a little bit, like a meter, and redo the surface paint, protective paint that's going to be just at the boundary level where the water line is. You want to paint about a meter, half meter above and below that water line, that normal water line, because that's where most of the corrosion happens, and you're going to lose about 0.2 millimeters per year to rust if you don't paint that. And that's a special paint. We're actually experimenting with some things. We made a video today of some new eco material we're testing. We're using it right now on the roof, but there's some that's going to be used for rust. And we have some on the spars behind us. You can't see it because it's dark right now. But yeah, so there's so many things. There's so many things to unpack. So we're gonna have to go through it.
Yeah. So let's move on to the financing one. So question is, I was wondering if there is any financing available. Right now, we offer a direct payment plan with us. I'll explain that in detail in a second. And we're speaking with a few different firms to offer some real official mortgage financing. So we will certainly be making an announcement when that is ready, because that's been a question asked a lot. So short answer is not currently. Financing is not an option. We're working on making an option very shortly. Hopefully by our grand opening, which is in a few weeks, at least one option will be available. But as of right now, it's a direct payment plan with us. And the way we go about that is a particular percent, minimum 20% deposit down payment, and then 4 to 5 more milestone payments over the course of the construction. And each payment is sent at a very specific and significant time of the construction, whether that's the building the steel foundation, or moving to the exterior shell, or then moving to the interior, and then moving to actual assembly and then deployment. So that's directly with us. There's no interest on that payment plan with us. It just offers you an ability to break all the payments out. But yeah, and then the second part to that question is there a package available to visit in September? And the answer to that is yes. If you go to our website and you go to reserve a pod, it's the top button on the navigation of our website. All we ask for is a $100 deposit, and that gets you on the wait list. Now, during that checkout experience, you're going to be asked if you want to upgrade to a $1,000 deposit. By upgrading to that $1,000 deposit, that is the package that will get you access to the grand opening in September. So the $100 deposit just gets you on the wait list. But when you check out for that deposit, you will see the option to upgrade to a $1,000 deposit, and that gets you to the September event. And by doing that, you'll automatically be sent the registration link to RSVP for that grand opening. Okay. That was an important lesson.
Most important lesson learned so far through this process. There's so many lessons. Every day is a lesson. So we're doing a lot of research and development all the time. One thing we just, like a recent example, is we had the first full-scale tripod in the water for a year and a week. We just took it out about a week and a half ago. And so we wanted to test how to make the steel last a really long time without having to put protective paint and coatings on it. So we did a test where we didn't put any protective paint on at all, except for just that one part over on the water line. And we instead put a small electric current through the steel, which is a normal technique used by a lot of large ships like cruise lines and things like that. So what happens when you put electric current through the steel of the tripod is that it protects it from rusting, and it actually becomes almost like a self-healing material. Sorry, I'm blocking the Instagram thing. It becomes a self-healing material because when there's electric current going through the steel, it actually pulls the calcium carbonate out of the water, or pulls it and tracks it to the steel. So it actually forms a protective layer around the steel. And then if you went and scratched it, then that part would be more exposed to the raw steel. And then that would be more attracted to the calcium carbonate, would be more attracted to that. And then it sticks to it. And then you have like, it's a self-healing thing. So that was really valuable at that. After a year, there was no damage on the steel. That was a big lesson. And that was a really good verification that we're doing the right things. And this, we were saying we're going to do this, and people said, no, it's still, steel rusts, and steel does rust when you put it in water. It actually steel at the water line rusts. So you do have to protect that. There's no way around that. So then there's lots of other lessons. We're doing a blog video or 2 or 3 every day, and we're learning almost in every blog video. We try to be really transparent with what we're learning and experimenting with and testing with. So a lot of our things that we learn are showing up in those videos too. So we're not holding anything back. How do these hold up on tsunamis? So the interesting thing about tsunamis is that the safest place to be in a tsunami is on the water, because when there's an earthquake out at sea or somewhere nearby, then there's a compression wave that begins and it moves through the water. And when the water is very deep, that compression wave, when you're in the water, you may only have a slight lift of the pod by like half a meter or meter or something like that. But the closer you get to shore, that compression wave, as this is the water line, this is the shoreline, or the seafloor, it goes up and up and up. And as this wave comes up, it's getting compressed as it comes up to that the lower and lower, shallower water. And then you have this huge tsunami that decimates the land area. So you want to be at sea if there's a tsunami, or up in the hills. Yeah,
so it's almost safe to say if you were a little too close to shore in your sea pod, the safer bet would be to actually tow yourself further out instead of closer to the coastline.
Yeah. And how often will the pods need maintenance? So we have, and what are the warranties? So we have, we're going to be doing a maintenance package. We're going to offer this rate only for the first year, and then we'll determine what it needs to be for year 2 for new people. But we're going to offer this rate for the first year for the new people joining in, and maybe we'll probably keep this for them as a charter price, because we want to make sure that the people that are starting are, we want to make you guys so incredibly happy, because the world is really going to be watching us. The world is watching us. So we want to make sure that everyone that's in a pod, year 1 especially, they have a permanent grin on their face while they're living in their pod. So I think that's a really important thing for us to stand behind. So we're going to make sure that it's very reasonable. I think it's $4.95 a month, and that's going to include all the, check everything, come through the pod. And if you have any issues that need to be addressed or looked at, we'll come through and do all the maintenance. We'll clean the windows once a month. We'll help you to customize the home automation system, because there's some really cool things it can do, and it's going to get more and more powerful over time. So we'll help you to figure out all those things and help make those things work. We'll also be able to do remote. We'll get notifications remotely if there's something wrong with your pod. We have a package where you'll be able to give us access to see if there's anything wrong. You don't have to give us access. This is something that's totally optional. You'll have like opt-in for everything. I'm a big privacy nut, and I don't like anyone sticking their nose in my business unless I give them permission to. And I think that's just a human right, that people have the right to privacy. So if you give us the access to be able to help you see if there's a problem with your bilge pumps, then we'll be able to help maintain it for you. If not, then you can do that yourself, or you can just call us and say, hey, I got an alert on my phone because bilge pumps weren't working or something like that. And then we can come by. But if we have oversight of it, then we can help get in there before maybe you even know about it. So, of course, we'll say, hey, we're coming by tomorrow to do the maintenance. We're not just going to walk in your house. But
what about warranties?
Warranties? So we'll be announcing all the warranty details soon. We have all the contracts being done for the warranties. So normally on the water, like we were looking at some warranties that electronic manufacturers offer, and we looked at some and we were kind of surprised that like the warranties were only a year or two or something like that. So we're especially making a lot of the electronics, like all the ocean builder electronics, we want to offer, I think at the beginning, we're going to offer, say, 3-year warranty on all the ocean builders electronics. So we'll cover you, and that's going to be, I think, longer than most manufacturers' warranties for a lot of things. Like
I think most are 2 years, most 1 year, 2 year, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to do it for 3, just because, at least for the charter members, because we want to just make sure you guys are really well taken care of. And then we've also done a lot of work to make sure that all the electronics are going to be like really working well, especially sealed from the marine environment, which is really toxic to electronics. So we've sealed them. We've done a lot of work to make them not only functional but durable. And my ideal at the beginning of this project was to design a pod that could last 100 years. I don't think we're at that point where we can say that we can do that, but I think that's the goal that we have in mind. That's where our mindset is. Something like steel normally has a service life of at least 50 years if you take care of it. Like if you take decent care of it, it will last. Same thing with fiberglass. In our case, the fiberglass is up over the water, not submerged in the water. So usually that's where the problem is, because the fiberglass is immersed in a toxic environment in salt water, which is highly toxic and corrosive. So we're offering, I think, a 10-year warranty right now on the fiberglass. So I think that's pretty good. But you can expect that to last a lot longer when you take care of it. And so if you do the maintenance package, then we'll help do the maintenance on repairing small cracks and stuff, so they are fixed before they expand and get bigger and cause problems.
I'll answer the next 3 real quick. That's okay. Yeah,
sure.
Our next question: are you offering your rentals on Airbnb? So we hope to have at least the first pod that'll be dedicated to rentals available starting in December. And we already have such a wait list for those rentals that we more than likely will be able to operate and go through those bookings and those rentals directly. Nonetheless, though, you can count on seeing our pods on Airbnb in only a matter of time. I think it'll just be after we get that dedicated rental pod up and running through our wait list that's already ready. As we move to the end of that wait list, yeah, you'll certainly see it on Airbnb, and you can definitely count on seeing other folks who buy our pods. It's been a very obvious idea for a lot of people to rent out their pod, and so a lot of people have expressed that they'll list their own on Airbnb. So you'll be seeing C-pods and green pods on Airbnb in 2023. Anything to add to that?
No.
Okay,
that's good.
Do your pods count towards residency? The green pod, because it is in fact a piece of real estate that goes on a piece of titled land, the green pod will in fact count towards residency here in Panama. The C pod, however, will not. Maybe that's something that will change in the future, but can't really speak upon that because as of right now, the C pod is flagged as a houseboat here in Panama. So it does fall under an existing category. Unfortunately, that houseboat category does not qualify for obtaining residency in Panama.
But there is a but. We have some really great lawyers, and there's a lot of different ways of getting residency. the standard way of getting residency used to be that you would just pay a certain fee, and they had the Friendly Nations program, so it was really easy. They made it a lot harder now that you have to buy real estate or make an investment or running a company or be retired. So there are ways, and we have lawyers. We can have you work with them, and highly likely we're going to find a way to get you residency. So
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah.
For if you're buying a pod, I'm pretty confident we can find a way to get you residency. And there could be some interesting things that are coming up for that. We are working on that specific solutions, but my lawyer said, have them talk to me because everyone is a different case, and there's always a way.
Yeah. You're going to quickly come to find, just to take a quick moment to say, what we're doing is not a one size fits all, and you can count on that not being the experience you're going to get. We're not going to put you in a bucket. You're not going to get a one size fits all experience. It's going to be very personalized, very tailored. We want to offer a very much VIP level experience. I mean, a lot of you are going to be these pioneers trusting us, taking the leap. And so, we're going to make sure that we make it a very turnkey, full service to get you into these first pods. I kind of already answered this a minute ago, but in my list of questions, how is it flagged or permitted? Again, green pod is typical real estate. The Cpod is flagged as a houseboat. Okay, I'm gonna take the next one.
Yes. Is there an external lift for larger items like furniture? How will larger items be brought in? So there's a couple answers to this. Number one, ideally we'll preload all the big things when we have it at the dock, and then we can just lift them up with, we'll either put them in the pod, which is what we did when we put our pod on the water. We put a lot of the big stuff in. We put all the windows in, even though the windows weren't all placed. Most of them were, but we just loaded everything into the pod and then lift it all up at once. The next method is we have big windows, as you saw. We have huge windows. So we would take a boat with a bar or like a barge and lift it up with a crane and then lift it in if it's already on the water. So for like big things. For smaller things, actually we do have a Sea-Doo lift that we're making, or a Ski-Doo lift that we're Sea-Doo.
Jet ski.
Yeah, jet ski. Sea-Doo, yeah.
Sea-Doo's our brand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But then there's Ski-Doos as well. That's totally different. Yeah. I was thinking water skiing. So we're working on a jet ski lift mechanism that will be able to lift your jet ski up, and then you can also put people in there, or you can put other things in there if you want to lift a small boat, a kayak, a paddleboard.
I think it's going to have a minimum payload ability of 650 pounds, something like this.
More than that.
More than this, yeah. I mean, jet skis, a 2-seater, 3-seater jet ski will weigh anywhere between 550 to 750 pounds, depending on what kind of beast you're driving. So yeah, substitute jet ski with fridge, with new sofa or a giant couch. Yeah.
Can you share screens on?
I don't think so. I don't think you can share live.
Okay. All right. I was going to show you pictures, but I guess I can't do that. I don't know how to do it here. So, okay, that
Will
one's
the windows
done.
be open? Will the windows open, or are they single molded?
So on the Ecopod, the windows, there's either fixed windows. You have the choice. You can get fixed windows. Those are a little bit less expensive. Then you have windows that slide all the way open, curved windows that slide all the way open. So they're huge. You can actually bring large items in and out of that through there very easily. Then on the Cpod flagship model, the windows in the kitchen, there's large sliding doors. So you can get fixed doors, or you can get sliding doors. And if you have sliding doors, then they can either slide to one side or all to the other side, or open in the center. And so that opens right up. Right now, the other two, the bedroom windows and the living room windows, do not open right now, but we are probably, before the pod actually becomes something you can move into, we will have a lift for the bedroom window so we can go up and down. So that will make a nice breeze going through there.
All right. Ownership for non-citizen.
Okay. And the last part of that question is, I'm a Canadian. So I'm a Canadian as well. I'm a Canadian citizen.
So the question is, how does ownership work for non-citizens?
Yeah. So Canadians and Americans, you're allowed to be in Panama for 6 months at a time. Then you leave for 2 or 3 days, then you can come back and get another 6 months. So that's without getting anything special, just getting a tourist visa, basically. There's also a digital nomad visa that you can get if you want to work remotely. If you have a job you can do online, you can get a digital nomad visa, and that's an 18-month visa. And I'm sure you can renew that after that. I just don't know the details of that program. And then you can also become a resident. So if you get the land pod, you become a resident, or the green pod, you become a resident with that. And with Cpod, probably you can become a resident with that as well. But we should talk to our lawyer about that.
And if not, as a foreigner, as a non-citizen, you can purchase real estate.
Yeah, good point.
Kind of already answered. What is the ownership title process? I think we've kind of answered that, right?
Yeah.
When will the completed pods be ready for move-in? So for move-in specifically for owners who are buying these outright, we are anticipating the first batch to be fulfilled in roughly summer of 2023. Now that is subject to change, and meaning we hope to accelerate that process. And now for the next batch of pods and going beyond that, we're estimating somewhere around a 10-month construction process from the signing of the contract to fulfillment. Again, it's my duty to say that is subject to change until we are under contract. But the important thing is that we hope to make that faster than 10 months. You know, that is we hope to make that a ceiling. We're already working very diligently to optimize what manufacturing looks like. And so heading into 2023, we just hope to continuously shrink that fulfillment timeline lower and lower into the single digit months.
Okay, will this grow with demand? Yes, absolutely. We hope that there's a huge demand and this grows to the whole world, but I don't know if there's more specific things you want in that question, but yeah, I think
we're not going anywhere. Coming out of this online launch, you the people, you the market have blessed us with a job to do, and that is to build a lot of these homes that have reservations on them, that have deposits on them. So we're not going anywhere. We're here to fulfill this demand, and yes, we will grow with it. The next question, can I visit the pod now? Absolutely. We welcome facility site visits anytime. Our doors are open. We mentioned earlier in this live stream that if you submit a $100 deposit during that checkout experience, you will be asked if you want to upgrade to a $1,000 deposit. And by upgrading to that $1,000 deposit, that'll earn you access to the grand opening in September. It's a few weeks away, so time is short. Recommend you getting that if you want to come see the grand reveal of the first fully finished pod with interior, everything. But then going forward beyond that, we welcome you down for a site visit.
Do people have a way of upgrading after they've paid the initial deposit? Like if they decide a month later?
No. I can send. I'll send that in a message. Good point. Grant just gave me a good point. We'll get a message out to everyone who's put a $100 deposit in to get you an opportunity to upgrade into that $1,000 deposit one, since you can't access that checkout page anymore. Okay. I'm gonna answer this one.
Yeah.
I'm a biologist and super curious about 3D printed reefs. I would like to talk to someone about it. Who can I speak with? Myself, you can speak with me. Reach out to our general contact form on our website. And I would love to have a conversation with you. We're so excited about this project. It is a staple of what we're doing, coral reef restoration. This 3D printer is going to allow us to assemble 3D printed clay structures underneath the pods themselves, underneath the foundation, to turn your foundation into a coral garden, to supplement, to create an entirely new ecosystem. And if you're watching this, Mr. Marine Biologist, we want to be careful and say our intentions are not to make a fish aggregator. We understand that is only partial of the solution. Fish aggregators only take other fish from other reefs. What we're anticipating on doing, what we're doing and designing with our pods, and the experiments and the work that we're doing with marine science partners already, real marine biologists, is doing so in a way that it creates and supplements an entirely new ecosystem, does not just aggregate from an existing one. Okay. You want to take that one?
How many are you planning over there? So we just looked at some property today where we could potentially put about 15 to 20 pods on a land-based location. So they would be green pods. And then we also have a really beautiful site. We should have confirmation in the next couple days if we have approval for that. But that will be private island, which is kind of a cool thing to live on a private island with, this would be like a pod development, Podville. I don't know. We might have a name for it. Don't say the other name yet because we're not revealing it yet.
No.
Okay. There's some things we're working on that we're really excited about. But so there's about 60 plots on this island that we're looking at developing for pods, and it's already titled. The land is already titled. They would just need to be rezoned with the new subdivisions of each person's titled land. And then for the water, that's something we're working on with the Ministry of the AMP. It's called Ambiente Autoridad Maritim de Panama. It's AMP.
Panama Maritime Authority.
Yeah, in English. Yeah.
Real quick, I just want to. I saw Nikki Faldum, Nikki F. Did ask us a question that is time sensitive and it's related to the deposit real fast. So the 1K deposit does not get room and board. It is just access to the grand opening. We recommend if you do come to stay at Santa Maria Hotel, which is where the day one event is. And there's Panama Tocumen International Airport is right near the venue. And if you do want to move forward with the grand opening, we have an event website that it's a private event website that we would send you, and they would give you all of the information about it. Okay. How does the pod react to high winds? You take that from the start, and then I'll finish it with one thing too.
Okay, so we are actually you asked the question is winds 80 to 100 miles per hour. We are actually good for up to 80 miles per hour, so that's a good number. But above that, we're not engineered to that right now. So everything is engineering, and we engineered them to be good for up to that wind speed, and also good for 5-meter waves. If we wanted to engineer for 3-meter waves, that we would change things slightly. If we wanted to engineer for 10-meter wave, well, no one wants to live in 10-meter waves, so we're not going to do that. So we can we extend it to 100 miles per hour? I think that's maybe what you wanted to answer. Was that?
Well, yeah, I'll double on that. When we expand it, we have to re-engineer it to withstand winds of over 100 miles an hour. Let's say a category 3, 4, a high 3 or a 4, a category 5 hurricane, because we will be deploying these in Florida, Mexico, Bahamas, where there are hurricanes. So like he's saying, the first thing to call out is right now, they are not engineered for that. We have not put this through a hurricane simulation. And so I'm not going to sit here and act like we deploy it right now and it'd be good to go. We'd have to do some re-engineering to it. And we will be doing that. Now, I think what's important to note, though, is we anticipate not a whole lot more engineering will need to be made in order to withstand, let's just say, at least a category 4 hurricane. Let's humble ourselves and say category 4 hurricane. And here's a bit of a reason. Let's exemplify it with the homes you'll see all over the Florida Keys. If you look at a lot of the coastal homes in the Florida Keys, you'll see a much skinnier post underneath a larger surface area, which is then the home sitting on top of these posts, essentially. So it's a larger infrastructure with a larger surface area sitting on top skinnier posts with a certain amount of elevation off the ground. And the reason they do that is because as you have hurricane winds coming in, if we have a normal house that just the whole house sits to the bottom of the ground, the winds will hit that house, essentially go downward and then accelerate off the ground, just getting much faster. And then that's when it gets really intense and really serious. And that's when you'll see a lot of damage to homes. With the homes in the Florida Keys and with how then imagine our pods, how it's a larger infrastructure with more surface area sitting atop a skinnier post line. So very similar to what you already see in some of these coasts in Florida Keys. This will allow then the wind, when it gets to the pod, essentially to wrap around the upper infrastructure and then continue on at its current elevation, whereas it won't be redirected towards the ground and accelerate any faster. It'll essentially wrap itself underneath the pod. So we will need to do some re-engineering. Now we're counting on it not being a whole lot more re-engineering just because of the current design.
Okay, good question. Is there any cell service? So this area does have a tower nearby. So normal cell service is pretty good. It's maybe one day a month it's out, maybe not even that much for a couple hours. And then there's times of day and the weekend, sometimes the speed goes down a little bit, but it's pretty good. And Starlink is actually coming to Panama towards the end of this year, early next year. So by the time you take delivery on a pod, we should have Starlink in Panama. I was recently connected with one of the top VPs at SpaceX, who's going to connect me with someone at one of the top people at Starlink, and we're going to try to see if we can accelerate a program to get pods outfitted with Starlink as soon as possible. So or have some kind of priority plan worked out. And if anyone out there has any top level connections to Elon, please introduce them to us. And we'd love to make this happen because the communications is really key. So we want to push on that, because cellular service, I've tested anywhere from 5 megabits per second up to like 89 or 90 megabits per second. It's usually around 10 to 15 or 20 megabits per second. So it's good for video calls most of the time. Sometimes you'll have some delay. Okay. Anything you want to answer?
No,
do you want to maybe do some of the live questions?
Yeah.
And then we can finish some of these later, because we have 40 questions left from the 60 some odd that we started with. So we're a third the way through, a little bit more than a third the way through.
Somebody did mention about so I appreciate you saying that, Gary. The 1K deposit, it jumps you to the wait list. I should have mentioned this. So it's not just accessing the grand opening. Doing that $1,000 upgraded deposit will jump you to the top of the wait list. Yeah.
And that's also acts as your deposit for the pod as well. So
partially
off. Yeah.
Partially. Yeah. It'll go towards it. Yeah. It's not the full deposit when you're ready to purchase.
Excited to get price points for the different pods. Yes. So we'll, like Connor was saying earlier, we're working on the pricing for like 3 different packages. I'm actually excited to say, back to one of the earlier questions about coral, 3D printed coral, we're going to include coral with every C-pod. Every C-pod package gets coral. Very excited about that.
Yeah.
And the beginner package is not going to get very much. It's just going to be a starter amount, hoping that you will fall in love with the idea of supporting the coral and regrowth in the local territory. And if you want to support that more in the future, then that's great. Then the other packages will have more and more coral as you go up.
All right. Access transportation to the pods. That's a big one. So the initial deployment of these pods, we are intending for them to be relatively close to the land, a quarter kilometer or up to a couple kilometers away, direct line of sight. And so it'll be very easy to transport via jet ski, via dinghy. In areas like this, especially in marinas, you see a lot of dinghy boats, very easy transportation. Or you can use your outriggers, 3 outriggers, as a dock for your vessel. There's also water taxis available here in Panama. And where we intend to deploy these pods, we'll do so in a way where we know there will be service to accommodate where you are. So whether that is more jet ski rentals, dinghy rentals, or purchases, another water taxi service in that new respective area where the pods are going. Of course, the ability for you to buy your own vessel and dock it at your pod. We're also now starting to speak with the likes of one particular dinghy company, one particular jet ski company, to essentially become a distributor of these, so we can offer them as an optional upgrade during the time of your purchase, so you can get it right at the same time.
Another part of that is I get in these work modes and I can just go nonstop for weeks, and I don't want to leave home because I'm just in this zone. So I don't really want to go anywhere, but I still want to get food and supplies and all that. So with aerial drone delivery tech, then you can order a pizza and a beer or whatever it is you want to order for food. And we're going to have partnerships with the local food places to be able to load up a drone, send stuff out. You don't have to go anywhere for dinner if you don't want to. If you do want to, great. But if not, then everything gets delivered. If you order packages from Amazon in the USA, it will be delivered to your pod by the surface drone, Astro, which will come along the surface of the water, get delivered to your place, and you're good to go. You don't have to leave home if you don't want to. But if you do, then there's lots of choices.
Yeah. All right. One question that came in earlier tonight. I know prices are for middle class or above for now. Any intentions on getting the pricing more economical for lower income people? Yes, I think there's a massive opportunity for us to do that. As we move through the next generation pods, our intentions are to make them more modular, thus reducing our costs, thus translating those reduced costs onto you and offering a much more economically sensible, to really categorize ourselves as, not just sustainable housing on an environmentally sustainable level, but in a way that we can support these in lower income, underdeveloped regions or areas that can use, similar to that whole category of tiny homes in a way, where it's enough of a home at a low enough price for your average individual. So that is certainly an intention. We do want to move towards that.
Yeah, those might be more connected units that might not be independent, but like be in a connected series where you can share resources like water recycling technologies and things like that. So if every home has all of its own independent technology that can run itself without having anyone else nearby for relying on waste management, water, solar, things like that, then that's a lot more expensive to do that on an individual basis. But if you're sharing resources, then that becomes more scalable. But we also have to, there's going to be a limit to how cheap it can be, because we need to make it so that they are sustainable. I don't want to put out anything that's not sustainable. And that's going to be a hard limit. So we're going to do as best we can. This is new and evolving technology. So technology always gets more efficient and less expensive in time. But
all right, question. Say you wanted to pump cold water from the deep. Are there any restrictions in taking over the sea? Well, once you're deployed in the water, I mean, you will still fall under these maritime regulations. And so if you start doing something illegal that that the Maritime Authority and that maritime regulations prohibit, then you will still fall under that national law. That this is not a legality or boundary that we can really step into. If you do something illegal, then you may face the consequences if that's something that authority does not approve. But at the end of the day, we're not here to babysit you. If you're deploying your pod, whatever you intend to do with it, run a business out of it, do it for marine research. It is your pod. It's your home. Do what you want with it, but just understand though that if you start crossing legality lines, then we can't help you. That's just entering legal territory, and that would be your responsibility. Are there any what agreements can we create or secure for neighborhoods and space between pods to avoid overcrowding? It's a good question. It's very obvious we're moving slow and steady, and so today, in the past few days, as we've been scouting these designated areas where the first pods are going to be going, where we're going to be fulfilling these first orders, we're giving ourselves a minimum of 10 meters from border to border of each pod, minimum 10 meters. So that's 30 feet. So we're already building into these development plans enough respectable distance and privacy in between the pods. Hopefully that answered that question. What are the current laws guiding restricting the waters? Again, that we're within 12 nautical miles, so we're within the coastal zone. It falls under maritime regulation here in Panama. And so as the pod is flagged as a houseboat, you will fall into that category of maritime authority and legality. Answered that. We talked about transportation. We talked about that. Can the green pods be located in a cold climate? Can we insulate them? That's a you question.
Yeah, actually, on the pod that just went on the water, we have like that much insulation. And I filmed a video today. I was going to share it, but I don't know how to do that. I don't think we can do that on YouTube. I know I can do it on Zoom, and so I had it all loaded up here, but I can't show it. But it will be on a blog post. We're experimenting with this eco treat or eco rubber material that is like a coating for the top of the pod that helps to reflect the sun's heat so it doesn't go into the pod. So we actually did a really cool demo. We treated a piece of cardboard and got a torch and held it there for like 10, 20, 30 seconds or something like that. And you can put your hand at the back, and it's pretty amazing. That was maybe 500 degrees, and
Celsius, or was that Fahrenheit?
I don't know, 500 degrees of either is hot.
Either is a lot. Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, so insulation. Yeah. So we can do it.
So we're working with that. We're working actually with this kind of material. You may not even need to have foam insulation, because there's actually a whole new science of coatings, coating materials that are looking pretty encouraging. So we're pretty excited about that. That's going to weigh less than foam and be much more environmentally friendly.
Cool. This is an interesting one. Is there a message in the bottle option where you can just float around the world? Interesting question. Our shallow water model, which you see most of, it has those 3 tripod-like outriggers. That is obviously for shallow waters. The deep water model, which we have that first deep water model being deployed by the summer of next year, which is just a single post that goes deep into the water without the horizontal outriggers. That one can go up to depths of 200 meters, and we still recommend anchoring it down. In theory, that one would be capable of moving around the open ocean in depths of up to 200 meters, potentially a little bit more. It can handle high seas. It is meant to handle high seas. We still would really encourage anchoring it down, though. So in theory, doable with the deep water model, but we're gonna encourage you to anchor down. One more question on here, and then let's jump to the Instagram. So will the glass be insulated so it could handle extreme cold temperatures? Will the glass be insulated?
So the glass on the Eco model has several layers, and it's low E glass with tinting. So it has UV as well as infrared coatings on it, so it will hold up very well to it has a lot of thermal insulation on it. So that's we haven't tested it for temperatures, but I can find out how good they will work in winter conditions, but they're thermal windows what we got. So we wanted to make sure that we did not get overwhelmed by the sun here in Panama, which is pretty intense sometimes. So we wanted to make sure that the home can stay cool, and the same thing works pretty much in reverse.
Finish that question. Let's look and see if there's any questions in here on Instagram.
Okay.
So we got all the YouTube ones in the chat. Where are you now? We're in Panama. Let's see. Grant, please. No. Okay.
Okay. Starlink pricing for land homes are like cable internet. Starlink pricing for ocean is like marine satellite internet. This difference is about 50 times. It is, but that's usually for a boat where you're moving a lot. When we're going to be anchored and not really moving very much, like just millimeters or maybe centimeters or decameters, then I think that we might be in a gray zone in there. So I think we might be in the cheaper end, but we will talk to Elon or whoever we can get in touch with at Starlink about that. And I think we'll get a pretty good deal.
All right. How are the Cpods powered? So yes, the most basic you can do is a generator and then charge batteries for battery storage. We do encourage the solar, so the solar would be the primary one for energy generation. And we hope to be working on some wind turbines and eventually some tidal throughout 2023. But solar is right now the number one. Okay. How are they connected to Wi-Fi? We were just answering all of that.
Charlie Solis is here. Hey, Charlie. Say hi to some people.
How it handles harsh storms. We've answered that. So it looks like we've answered all of the pods in Dominican Republic or Mexico, Cancun, Tulum. Absolutely. Mexico just poses the same challenge as Florida, and the Bahamas is the hurricanes, but that is absolutely on the roadmap. And Dominican Republic, I believe they get some level of storms and hurricanes. But yeah, they do. Okay. Definitely on the roadmap. You can expect us to be expanding through Latin America and the Caribbean pretty quickly as we move through the years, maybe 2024 and beyond. We'll be in a much better position to start accelerating that global expansion. Okay, I mean, it's 8:00 now. Is there any? I think we want to be respectful of everyone's time. We could keep going, but there's probably a lot of people that only plan till 8:00, and we don't want to start answering questions that people will miss if they've only planned till it's 8:00 our time, 9:00 if you're in Eastern time in America.
Yeah.
Should we cap it? Should we pick up tomorrow?
Yeah. Let's see. Just one more last question to finish off with. Are you both going to live full-time in a Cpod in the next year. If there's a pod that's available that is not dedicated to a client, I will be in a pod. We will start overnight stays in December, but before then, I'm going to get as many nights as I can. I'm sure Connor's going to grab some. Rudy's going to grab some. Right now, we only have one, so we're going to have to share it with
customers. Come first.
Customers come first.
We'd love to be in one, but customers come first. Yeah. He'll be in one full time. Don't doubt that. Me, I'll be getting my own as well, and it's going to be going right how here in Puerto Lindo. I'll be joining all of you in our community, and I'll be in there at least 6 months out of the year. I travel a lot, especially for our business, and so I'll always still be traveling. But I'm working on my dual residency. I'm an American, but also working on dual residency for Panama, and so I'll be living out of it at least 6 months or maybe even more. So yeah, absolutely.
And remember, I come from living on a floating home for 3.5 years, and I gave up living on a floating home to come here to Panama to build Cpods. So I need to be on a pod. I'm doing this for me. You guys think I'm doing this for you? No, I'm doing this for me. I love it. I love living on the water or close to the water. So right now I'm right by the water, but living on it is going to be so much better. So, all right. So we'll see you guys very soon for the next live Q&A, and we'll pick up the rest of the questions from there.
Awesome. Super cool. We have some things coming in just so thanks guys. I'm recording. Yes, this should remain a recording, and we'll make sure it stays on YouTube, and we'll post it. And then in the morning we will send out another newsletter alert with the next link for our session tomorrow morning, Saturday, September 3rd, which will start at 10 a.m. Panama time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, Miami, New York time, Atlanta time. And we'll pick up the second half of the questions that we have here, and we'll keep doing live stuff. We appreciate you joining us. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is great.
This is awesome. Cool.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to figure out how to close this. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
End stream.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Okay. Done.